now listening to the JCA Sports Podcast on Spotify and Anchor. To the JCA Sports.
What's going on, everybody? The JCA Sports Podcast coming to you live to another episode here on Facebook Live. I am going solo dolo tonight, but it's okay. I am backed up with my boy Deontay Jones-Furl, aka Chicago. What is it? Chicago's Uncle Chicago Finest. What is it?
Chicago favorite Uncle Day in the building.
There you go. Chicago's favorite uncle is in the building. The J and the C, they're out with a cold right now, but it's okay. I got them coming through for today. We're going to have a good episode for you guys tonight as we have exactly. As we have another good episode, guys. There's a lot to talk about over the weekend, and for sure, we're definitely going to talk about the draft. There's nothing to talk about but other than the draft. The Chicago Bears, I think to me, personally, I feel like they did their thing. I want to know what you guys think too as well. Go ahead, I'm put the stream up on Facebook so you guys could join us too as well. Let's talk about the Chicago Bears and what they did over the weekend. They had 6 total picks. Deontay, they had 11 at the end of the day. To me, I think that's a solid win. Brian Poles did his thing in getting the offensive line kind of fixed. Out of his 11 picks, 4 of them were offensive linemen. Obviously, he got his wide receiver kind of in the 3rd round. A lot of people didn't like the pick, but he went defense too as his first 2 picks, man, and solidified that secondary, which needed help anyways. There was holes all over the place for our beloved Chicago Bears, man. I want to know what you think. Give me your overall grade on how the Bears did this draft.
I give them a solid B because, you know, in the NFL now, if your secondary suck, you're going to give up 500 passing yards a night, and the Bears couldn't stop a nosebleed last season. So, yeah, he had to go with defense first and address the offensive line afterwards. When it comes to the receivers, they picked up a few spot fillers in free agency. So you must rebuilding process. They knew they wasn't going to be able to get big-time receivers out of this draft anyway. So they used the free agency to pick up spot fillers for receivers and tight ends to get Justin Fields some people to actually throw the ball to. They not in win now mode. So next draft you can expect to see a ton of offensive players picked. So I give them a solid B because, you know, they got some good beef for the offensive line. They got some solid dudes, and they big guys too. So Justin Fields will have, if not this season, next season, he should have some pretty solid protection.
No, definitely 100%. I mean, let's go over what the Bears did for the draft, right? For their first pick in the 2nd round since, you know, Pace failed Ryan Poles this year and giving up the 1st round draft pick for Justin Fields. So let's just say Justin Fields was our 1st round draft pick this year. How about that one? Do we agree? Yeah. Okay. We'll do that. So the first pick in the 2nd round, number 39th overall, the Bears went Kyler Gordon, cornerback out of Washington. Excuse me. You're gonna compare him next to line him up right next to Jalen Johnson too as well. So I think that's a solid pick right there. And then you also get secondary help too to partner up maybe with Eddie Jackson, possibly. You're going nickel all the time, so you're definitely going to need two safeties back there, and getting Jaquan Brisker, another solid pick for the Chicago Bears, going in the 2nd round. Then we go to the 3rd round, and 71st overall. This is where a lot of people kind of were like, okay, it's kind of a reach, maybe who the hell is this guy? but Velus Jones Jr. was our very first offensive player coming out of the draft. Wide receiver from Tennessee. Apparently he's a wide receiver that could blow the top off, has some decent hands. Looks like he fights through his tackles, but wasn't really the main. A lot of people just never seen him, maybe because he played in Tennessee, and Tennessee didn't really have a great college year this year. But that was the first 3 picks, man. And you know what? We're just like, okay, so 3 more picks for the Chicago Bears, right? Wrong. Ryan Poles. I'm sorry. I apologize to Ryan Poles for disrespecting the man the way I just did right now. He went to work, and he went to work on day 3. And day 3, he got depth. Let's be honest. Day 3 was just getting depth and seeing what you can get, because you could sometimes even hit on day 3 starters, drafting that long. I mean, Charles Leno was a day 3 starter coming when he got drafted by Emory, being on the 6th round pick, and he was a starter, and the man got paid, right? It could work. So his first pick of the 5th round was Braxton Jones, out of Southern Utah, followed by Dominique Robinson, defensive lineman out of Miami of Ohio, followed by, in the 6th round, Zachary Thomas, offensive lineman out of San Diego State. Then we keep going to the 200 there. They got a running back.
Right.
I'm not too surprised that they went another running back here, with Tristan Ebner. This one was a sneaky pick for everybody. The way that the Bears are going to run with the zone scheme running game. This guy was his own reader, running back, coming out of Baylor. He went offensive lineman again. There's a trend here, right? There's a trend from Poles, him being an offensive lineman guy. Look at him now. He got Doug Kramer. Apparently, this guy can push a Dodge Ram. I don't know about you. I don't know if that's impressive or not, but he can push the Dodge Ram. If you've seen him on his social media page, he can do that. Then we go into the 7th round. He got Jataria Carter, another offensive lineman coming out of Southern, finishing off with a defensive back, and Elijah Hicks out of California. We got us a punter, Trenton Gill. And that was our last pick, 255th. We got ourselves a punter, which for some odd reason, punters and kickers this year in the draft, they were highly touted this year for some odd reason. There was a guy named Punt God for some odd. He was the punt god. So hey, whatever it is, man, they went out. But to me, you said, what was your grade again, Deontay? What was your grade for the Bears?
A solid
B. You know what? I was just on Prime Sports World with my boy David Hoffman. You know David, Deontay for sure. I was on his show talking about draft grades. I gave him a little song. I gave him a little taste, right? But to me, I don't know if I'm being too optimistic. I don't know if I'm drinking too much of the Ryan Poles Kool-Aid, singing something new, having a brand new car smell for my team. But man, I'm so close to giving the Bears an A. I really, really want to give the Bears an A simply because Ryan Poles did his thing, and not only getting 6 picks, but converting them into 11. Now, that's the man who got depth for his team. Now, granted, look, they're not starters. I think for sure we have solid 3 starters coming out of this draft with the potential of maybe having 5, possibly 6. So to say that, so out of your 11 picks, 5 of them are starters, I think that's a good outcome. That's a good turnover on your return on your investment, especially this year for the draft. I really, really want to give them an A. I think what's stopping me is not them having a 1st round pick. So this is why I'm giving them a B plus 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 plus. I don't know if it's my Chicago bias in myself because I'm a Bears fan, thinking that the Bears had the best draft class out of the NFC North, which we'll get into a little bit later too, in the program. You know what, man? I really, really, really loved what the Bears did on this draft for sure. I give them a B plus 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 plus. I am excited for what Ryan Poles did. I am excited for what Eberflus is going to do. I want to know what you guys think. The link is on the chat on Facebook. Make sure you guys follow us or join us in this conversation. Talk about the Chicago Bears and what you guys think, how they did in the draft over the weekend. Deontay over here gives them a B. I gave him a B plus 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 plus, flirting with an A. And I just want to know what you guys think. Who to you are you probably excited to see coming out of this draft class for the Chicago Bears? Is there a player that kind of good that got your attention?
I'm ready for the offensive line because I'm trying to think. I believe his name is Taylor Jenkins, the guy that they had the back problems from last
Last
year.
year, yep.
All right. With him, with the four guys that they got this draft, they almost got a whole new offensive line ready to grow together.
Yeah.
And the Bears haven't had a good offensive line in forever since Olin Kreutz was at center. So it's just that's what I'm excited about because then you'll be able to get to see what Justin Fields can actually do with some protection. Because
Yeah.
after the Cleveland game, I'm surprised he lasted the whole season last year. It's just
You're right, bro.
going to see what he can do with a legit offensive line
Mm-hmm.
and go from there with the read options. Like you said, we got another running back, and the read option is going to be the Bears' number one offensive play, at least for this upcoming season.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I've been reading a lot of reports out here saying that the Bears, they didn't give Justin Fields any help. They didn't give Justin Fields another wide receiver, which with the Bears, I mean, they desperately needed a wide receiver for sure to be on the side of Mooney, and we don't really have a legitimate number one wide receiver on our team at the moment. That's not named Darnell Mooney, who is our number one right now. But the thing is that there's a lot of holes that the Bears had on this team, man, and this roster had a lot out of them. And the fact of the matter is that Ryan Poles did his thing and getting not only multiple picks other than the 6 that he started off with, but the man got depth.
Yeah.
He got offensive lineman help. And in order for a quarterback to throw, a quarterback has to stand up and throw, maybe even move around a little bit. And that you got a little bit of protection for him. The next problem is everybody's going to say, well, who's he going to throw it to? I mean, he even said it himself. Ryan Pohl said it himself that it's not going to be fixed overnight. It's not going to take 1 year to fix the situation that the Bears are in today. So, baby steps for sure. There is still a lot of available free agents out there that the Bears can get, possibly come to the Bears. This is where Ryan Pohl said he was gonna come out of, saying that it's the second wave, it's the third wave, free agents that are gonna fill in his team. Those are the ones. Those are the ones that he's aiming for. To you, who's out there that kind of catches your eye for the Chicago Bears that hopefully Poles could get a run in?
To be honest with you, nobody, because they in like complete rebuild mode. So it's like, do you really want to try to pull in an already established wide receiver right now and say we basically gonna waste a year of your career?
But is it though? Is it going to be a waste? I mean, look, maybe it's just me being the optimistic that I am, right? I'm a big optimistic person. I don't know why. It's the Chicago Bears. The Bears have proved us wrong that they really can, do the right things, right? But maybe with this regime, the way how they drafted, man, wouldn't a wide receiver somewhere like in the free agent market kind of would help? I mean. Wouldn't a Jarvis Landry be a good? Maybe a injured Odell Beckham.
But see, then you're talking about veteran receivers that could look at a team that's making a title run that can use them. Like Jarvis Landry can be serviceable for, of course, always Tampa Bay. He can be serviceable for Tom Brady because they lost Antonio Brown, and Odell Beckham, if he want to go back to the Rams, it's hard to say you're gonna take a guy that, like I said, is on the back nine of his career and say, hey, we're gonna bring you into a situation where the new GM was not hesitant in saying that this is a complete rebuild. So it'll be tough to say. Like a lot of the free agents that they picked up, they already picking them up on 1 year deals anyway. So do you really want to go and say, hey, Odell, come sit down at the table and we're going to bring you in, but we ain't going nowhere until next year or the year after?
Well, I mean, look, if the I guess at this point it's like if the money's right? Obviously, you may think that the Bears may not. I mean, are you think that the Bears are going to make noise this year? No, right? I'm guessing that's what you're coming with, that the Bears are not going to make noise coming out of the playoffs or coming out of a good season this year, right?
Right. I will be shocked. I mean, the division still is Aaron Rodgers' division to lose right now, and I would be shocked if the Bears actually, made a playoff push. Was
Mhm.
it's so many new pieces, so many new moving pieces with a new coach, new scheme, so many new players, so many holes that needed to be filled. You moved from Khalil Mack, you know what I'm saying, and that was your defensive leader, right? Well, basically your team leader at this point. Uh,
Mhm.
just cut Nick Foles, thank God. So it's like it's time to just let the younger guys get some experience so that they can grow together.
No, yeah, 100%. Real quick, let's go to the Facebook comments. Our boy Jose, the C on the JCA, he couldn't make it. He's finding a little flu, little bug. No, I'm just kidding. He lost his voice supposedly. Um, he's saying that I'm too optimistic, and that's coming from him. He's the Bears hater on this podcast here. So he's saying I'm too optimistic for what I feel about the Chicago Bears. Guys, I want to know what you guys think on the Facebook comments. The link is on there for you guys to join us too as well, as we're talking about the Chicago Bears and their weekend draft. How do you guys feel? What are your grades for the Chicago Bears? How do you guys feel like they did? Do you think they did pretty good? You guys are not too convinced. Deontay gave them a solid B. I say a B plus 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 plus, flirting with an A. So give us your grade on the comments. Join us on the link. The link is on there for you guys to join us too as well to have a conversation about our Chicago Bears. Jose said he is not a hater, he's just a realist. Sometimes realists and haters kind of cross the same path anyways. But that's just him. But yeah, to me, I think the Bears did a fantastic job. I think Poles did a fantastic job. Although he got all his depth coming up on the later rounds on day 3, 6-7s. He did something that Ryan Pace never did, and that's collect draft capital. Even though it was on the back end, we've always finished the Bears. The Bears always kind of finish drafting by like the 5th round, possibly sometimes even the 6th. I don't remember. I don't know if you remember. I don't even remember if there was a 7th round pick made by the Bears with Ryan Pace. And exactly, I don't think he even made a difference. Uh, but to go around all the entire whole NFL, man, what team for you was a surprising team out of the draft? Who had a good draft coming out of this draft this year?
Actually, the Bears.
Oh,
Would be my surprise team because as a Chicago and as a Bears fan, we are used to the Bears having the first fumble of the season in the draft
yeah.
for so long. Roquan Smith was a shocker, but in the last 5-6 years or so, the Bears pretty much been dropping the ball with the draft. Like the Mitchell Trubisky draft was probably the worst thing that Ryan Pace did. Probably the worst. There was so many bad things that regime did as far as to drafting and talents and because what's his name, Kevin White, that never played, was another like. So the Bears haven't had a good draft and I don't know how long. So that would be my surprise because like I said, as a Bears fan, we are used to the draft being the beginning of the turnovers with the fumble. Like the GM
Yep.
just said, we're gonna just get this one away. So trade like I said, Mitchell Trubisky, we trading up to get a player who's gonna be there.
Yep.
Kevin White, we're gonna trade for. I mean, draft a guy that was he injured in college because he never played.
Leonard
So
Floyd.
out of West Virginia or what? So
Yeah.
that's my biggest surprise. Like, because I just knew like, yeah, the Bears getting ready to pick a whole bunch of wide receivers and have no offensive line. And I should have known with the GM being a former offensive line that would be the first thing to get addressed. But
Exactly.
like they actually, making steps to get the team better. I'm proud of them, like thoroughly proud of them.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100. I want to agree with you, should I say? Let me go by saying that I want to agree with you that the Bears were the best team or had the best draft this year. But I'm gonna take it out of the Chicago area for a little bit. There's a good amount of teams on here. You could say the New York Jets. I think the New York Jets definitely had a good draft this year. The Baltimore Ravens. And look, let's be completely honest with you, man. Day one was a circus for the NFL right now because it just continued the crazy offseason that the NFL had. Wide receivers going left and right, Devontae Adams going to the Raiders, Tyreek Hill going to the Miami Dolphins, right? And it continued on draft day on day one where Hollywood Brown going to Dan, who do you go to? Hollywood Brown going to God, why am I blanking? I just had it in my head right now. Going to who do you go to? Guys, help me out here. I literally just talked about it right now. Not so long ago. I know AJ Brown went to the Eagles and Hollywood Brown went to, oh my God. Why am I blanking?
Cardinals.
Cardinals. Thank you. Jeez. I don't know if they knew that I don't know if the suspension for DeAndre Hopkins today was going to happen, that they went out to go get Hollywood Brown, but to give up a first round draft pick for him, it was just crazy to see that. And the Ravens just hit on every single draft pick that they had, making their team a lot more better in a division in a conference that is going to be tough all around. You know, they got solid up front on the defensive line. They got solid in the linebacker position. In the secondary, they got better. Yes, they did not acquire anything from they didn't acquire anything from the wide receiver position, but do they ever though? I'm not 100% sure. Exactly. Pittman or Hitman or whatever the guy is, the other wide receiver right next to Marquise Brown was the number 2 wide receiver. But they got tight ends, and they're gonna use that 3 tight end set, maybe 2 even tight end set with Mark Andrews throwing in there, making that running game a lot more tougher with this running game and having Lamar Jackson's legs. Oh boy, I am telling you that the Ravens hit perfectly every
Beef.
single pick.
I got beef for Mark Andrews from fantasy football. I was up 30 points and Mark Andrews balled out.
I think I know what game you're talking about too, because that one helped me out because I had Mark Andrews in a fantasy league too. So I get it. Nah, man, but look, it was a draft that at first, like you could tell day one was just the continuance of the circus of the whole entire NFL offseason. And then you could tell day 2 and day 3 was literally down to business. The draft was all business. The depth from each team there, everybody's saying that you got players that were good in the 4th and the 5th and the 6th rounds that last year could have had, second, third round value. It's just I felt like the COVID players that finally got the chance to come back into this draft, got into this draft, and you probably got good players on the back end of this year's draft. Deontay, did any of the contending teams were surprising to you for their draft picks this year? I'm talking about the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Bills.
No, I mean this Hollywood Brown situation was interesting in itself because
Yeah,
for him to request a trade and the way the Ravens looked last season before Lamar got beat up, it looked like they was primed to take that next step.
yeah.
Get some solid help in the backfield in the run game. So that was a surprise. But as far as the picks, no, I honestly got a Bears hangover from the
Hey,
honestly,
ain't nothing
that
wrong with that.
that was my focus. Like
Yeah,
what I was gonna do, and what I was looking for Baker Mayfield getting moved. I was looking for
same.
D. Samuels getting moved. Uh, like I said, when Marquise Brown asked for the trade, I was like, okay, where's he gonna go? And that was it for me. Just looking for some player movement, not necessarily like big time draft picks. I was shocked the Lions went with a lineman for the first pick, first overall pick, but he got Michigan ties. So
100%. Look, man, to me, Like the players that we thought were going to get moved didn't get moved in Baker and in Debo, and the players that we didn't think that was going to be out there, out and about, in AJ Brown and Marquise Hollywood Brown, they're the ones that ended up getting moved. It was just another one. The teams that didn't move up to get a trade, like the Kansas City Chiefs, who, even though they stood pat, they got helped on the defensive side of the ball with a little wide receiver help to eliminate a little bit of Tyreek Hill leaving. But in the division that they're in, with the Broncos, with the Chargers, with the Raiders, you're gonna need help defensively as much as you can.
And they lost Honey Badger.
And they lost the Honey Badgers to the Saints. It was a draft for the Kansas City Chiefs just to come out and be like, you know what, you still got to run through us out of the AFC West, and they just, with their picks, they use their picks perfectly, moving up just a little bit, still coming back at the tail end of the draft. But the Green Bay Packers, man, let's keep it in our division, but let's talk about the Green Bay Packers. And you lose Devontae Adams, you have 2 first-round draft picks and an extra second-round draft pick, but you don't get a wide receiver to help them out. Man, instead of going anywhere in the offensive line system or just an offensive side in general, you go defensive side. And a team that was already a top 10 defense just became a top 5 defense with the players that they just got. Yes, they still have Aaron Rodgers. But can Aaron Rodgers make the wide receiver core that he has, which, by the way, is probably in the top 10 of the worst wide receiver core ever, and the Bears are just right there with him. Can you see the Green Bay Packers making noise with the wide receivers that they have, or are they going to take a swing? Are they going to take a swing at Odell Beckham Jr. or the Jarvis Landrys in the world, or maybe even possibly trading for a Deebo Samuel for next year's draft?
And that, I was getting ready to go there with it. Like Deebo, I could see the Packers making a play for Deebo, but I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers. He cashed out, and they picked 2 Georgia guys, and Georgia had the best defense in college football last season.
Yeah.
Bringing them in to help with the defense, they like you said, they really didn't have holes. They did have an issue with linebackers, but they really didn't have a whole lot of holes.
What is it, baby?
Oh, that was so bad. You know what? Just remove yourself back. Me and Deontay got this, man. You sound so horrible.
No, I'm not that bad anymore. I grabbed one of those medicine balls from Starbucks, and they really did wonders for my voice. Earlier, I was like, I couldn't talk at all.
Yeah, sure. All right, yeah, Deontay, go ahead and finish up, man. Before we go to this guy here.
Yeah, I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers, so you can't count Aaron Rodgers out, and he got a solid defense. If they don't give up points, it won't be as much as now. Green Bay gonna outscore somebody with 4 or 5 touchdowns as much as, okay, Green Bay will win with a touchdown and 3 field goals now because they defense holding up and not giving up points. So I'm guessing that's where they going, or they gonna move a first-round pick for Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, 100%, man. And that was the one surprising thing about this year's draft, especially for the Green Bay Packers. Really just surprising that they didn't go out and use one of those picks for another wide receiver, man. You're listening to the JCA Sports Podcast here on Facebook Live. Guys, make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms: YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, under all the JCA Podcast, JCA Sports. The John Konabi on Facebook, and make sure you guys also share our episode too on your Facebook page. That way we could talk to your friends too, not just ours. As we welcome in the C in the JCA Sports Podcast, Jose Contreras. Jose, man, give us your grade on the Bears and how they did over the weekend on the draft.
Ooh, a grade. I want to say, I'm not a Bears hater. I want to first and foremost say that. But I want to say, a B minus, C plus, B minus if I have to choose between the two. The only reason why I want to grade him a little bit higher than usual is because of what Ryan Poles was able to do in the later rounds, getting all those extra picks. He was only going to have 3 picks going into Saturday. He ended up turning flipping that to like 8. So kudos to him. He needed to do it because this roster right now is small. He had to literally fill that roster. My concern there is the quality of talent that you're going to put in the team. That's going to say a lot going into the season. But grading Friday, was it Friday? When his picks on Friday, that I'm in between. I'm all for getting the best available guys, regardless of what position. You want to get the best possible talent on your roster, especially on a roster that needs more than 4 or 5 different positions. Like, you need defense and offense. Like, this team right now is shot. You traded away a lot of good players. You let a lot of good players go. These quality players, some not so quality. But this team right now, defensively and offensively, is in need of talent, right? So I'm not mad at the fact that he got 2 defensive players his first 2 picks, but I am concerned that this offense is going to develop a lot slower than we wanted to and that we needed to. The one thing about the Chicago Bears, and historically speaking, is that this team has always been a good team defensively. When they won a championship in 1985, it was all the defense. Going into 2006, it was the defense. Every time we made the playoffs, we had a great defense that we rode into the playoffs. It was always our offense we were lacking. And what was the common denominator in each one of those? No offensive line. We never had an offensive line. Now, because we never had an offensive line, we didn't know what we had in quarterback with Jay Cutler, with Mitchell Trubisky, with all you just insert name there, right? You never knew what you had in quarterback because the offensive line wasn't good, because you were switching coordinators, because wide receivers were divas or dramas or whatever you want to say. So you never really knew what was going on with the offense. It was always the defense coming in and giving us that spark and helping us, move on. So here we have Justin Fields, a quarterback that was drafted by Ryan Pace, that's supposed to be the future of this organization. Again, I'm going to give Ryan Poles the benefit of the doubt. I want to see what he can do going forward with this team and with Justin Fields. I feel like, because the only reason why I'm giving him a pass this time is because we need way more than just offensive linemen and wide receivers. But again, I'm concerned how are you going to develop this quarterback of the future without quality linemen in front of him and without quality wide receivers around him? Then you're basically just going to throw this season away for what? And maybe not throw it away entirely, because he still has to learn the offense. And maybe that's what the season's for, is just him learning the offense. But he's not going to be able to perform the offense successfully if you don't have the right pieces around him. So how are you going to do that? And that's just my concern. I don't want to ride the wave of a defense any further. I want a great offense. That's what I want for this team. So like let's do that. Like, if we could do both, we could do both. And I get it's going to be hard, but I want to see what we can do offensively. And that's just where I'm at.
Oh, definitely, 100%. You're absolutely right. This team had holes left and right, left, right, up, down, all around, wherever you want, whatever position on any line, whether defense or offense, there was always going to be a hole that's not the quarterback position, right? Maybe even the running back position, and we still ended up drafting a running back, right? And you're absolutely right. What are we going to get out of Justin Fields? Well, it's a TBD. Unfortunately, at this point, but at the same time, you got a position where you need to help the most, and in order for a quarterback to be successful, he needs to stand upright.
Right.
And Poles did that with his draft, getting 4 offensive linemen this upcoming draft. Yes, there's 3 week 1 starters with your first 3 picks in Jones Jr. I forgot. I put on the list, so I forgot. But Kyler and the other dude from the safety from Penn State, those are already possible right there. 3 potential starters. There's possible that the players in the 5th and the 6th can be week 1 starters too. So guaranteed 3 with the possibility of 6 out of 11 picks. That's a good draft class.
Look, so the thing is, but week 1 starters on a team that has so many holes and not that much players, is that really saying something? This team doesn't have many players to begin with. I think they're only like at 50 or 60. They got to get to 90 by the start of training camp. So if these guys that they drafted in the 5th or 6th are day one starters, okay, they're better than the other guys, but are they good enough to get the job done? That's my concern.
But see, that's where the learning curve come in at, where they all get to grow together. Because earlier they basically got a whole offensive line that's rookies, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right? The second-year quarterback. So now you get a chance for those guys to grow together and for that trust to be there. And they drafted another running back because we know it's going to be a lot of read options. They're going to run the RPO more than anything. So, so you really won't put Justin in a position to drop back with a 3 or a 5-step drop often, because the offense is probably going to be 90% run, at least for this season, to make sure we keep Justin as healthy as possible. Let these offensive linemen get out here and get some experience. And come next season, we see what we got. The complete rebuild. That's a 3-year process.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that getting a running back kind of like, in a way, it intrigues me a little bit, because like we already have Khalil Herbert, right? And you still have David Montgomery. What does that say about David Montgomery going forward? I mean, are they maybe trying to weed him out, knowing that they have Herbert who could start and produce, and maybe draft a running back that could back him up? And, hey, if you got to trade him this season for some more picks or whoever, I mean, you have that option, right? Running backs are that dozen.
Yeah, you do. You definitely do that. You definitely do got that option, and especially now, what are you going to do with Robert Quinn? I know his name has been going out there a lot too. Definitely David Montgomery with the drafting of this quarterback, this running back. Maybe he may be on the chopping block as he's entering. Maybe I think he's entering his last year's contract, or he probably has one more year, but still a quality player. You're not going to get a lot of value from David Montgomery if you do decide to trade him. Robert Quinn set the Bears sacks record, so he's the only one with the ultimate, where you get a lot more value coming off him, a lot more in return for him. So you're absolutely right, man. It's a lot of question marks, but hey, look, you're talking about depth-wise. You're talking about depth-wise for the Chicago Bears, but at the end of the day, they have to cut their roster down to 53. So maybe it's not that bad that they don't have that depth. Maybe they have their starting squad already into the offseason. Trying to cut this from 90 to 53, and maybe they don't have to go that far. Maybe they can just add a few more bodies, see if the body can make those bodies can make the roster, as we try to X out a little bit of more Ryan Pace's dirt and bring in a fresh soil coming in with Pose's people. Hey guys, you're listening to the JCA Sports Podcast here on Facebook Live. Guys, make sure you like all our shows. Hit the little bell on the notification buttons too. That way you'll get notified when our shows are on live, not just the JCA Sports Podcast, but also Sports Strip Live and also the EAFP Podcast. And make sure you guys share the shows too as well. All right, guys, let's transition a little bit more, because over the weekend, outside of the NFL draft, the second round of the NBA playoffs started, and man, oh man, did it? What did it? It start off with a bang and a half, guys. Let's go from yesterday. Actually, it started today. Let's go Saturday. Let's go yesterday. I apologize. With the Milwaukee Bucks beating the Boston Celtics 101-89. I know where you're gonna go with, Jose. I know what you're gonna say. It is what it is. Giannis with a triple-double. Tatum with 21, 6 and 6 today. But is it really the dominance of Antetokounmpo, or was it the rust? Because they look like the Boston Celtics looked a little bit offbeat, being off for a period amount of day, sweeping the Brooklyn Nets and having those extra days of rest. Was it Antetokounmpo being a beast, or was Boston Celtics kind of look rusty?
Look at the name. Pick the name.
20s and shit. That's what it says.
Basketball, baby. And yes, it was Giannis Antetokounmpo doing what he does best and being the best player in the league.
If you're gonna call yourself Tony Basketball, at least get the name of the pronunciation of the player right. And Giannis, not Giannis. Okay?
I said Giannis. I said
Giannis, homie.
Giannis. Fact of the matter is, I should just call him the greatest of our era because that's exactly what he is, Eric, and he's proven that to you. I mean, hold on, maybe not the greatest of our era, the greatest of today, the greatest of today. Let me get that. Let me throw it out there. Sorry, I'm a little sick. The greatest of today, the best player today. Okay. Anyway.
Get a little ahead of yourself. I like Giannis too.
Look, it's the drugs. It's the drugs. It's the medicine I took. Cocaine.
Drugs.
It's the drugs. Anyways, look. I don't know what to tell you. Like, what the Boston Celtics can do defensively is they're very, very physical. Very physical. And the Brooklyn Nets had trouble with that. KD had trouble with that. Kyrie had trouble with it a little bit, although Kyrie was still balling. But the way they defend is more like the Detroit Pistons back in the '89s. They're physical with you. They'll bump you. They'll push you. When you get down low, you're gonna feel them. They're gonna get hurt. It reminded me of Timberwolves when we were the Bulls. And whenever we face anybody, we needed to know Joakim Noah, Nazir Muhammad, Taj Gibson. When you're gonna go down low, you're gonna get hit a little bit. You know what I mean? Omer Sheik. That's what those guys did.
Mayor. Oh boy.
Hey.
You know what I mean? Because he was a little soft.
Now.
Did you say Dante? I'm sorry, I hear you. Yeah, that's all. I didn't mention Boozer because he was a little soft, right? But with that being said,
You're right.
That being said, that's how the Boston Celtics play defense. You can't do that against Giannis. The guy's too big. He's too strong. He's too agile. He's too fast, and he gets buckets. Doesn't matter. He feeds off that contact. If you're gonna bump him, it's gonna hurt you more than it's gonna hurt him. And you can see it, like when that guy could just throw the ball, lob it to himself from the rim, and just dunk it. That's what he does. And the Boston Celtics, they realize that. They tried doing that. They tried doing him what they did to KD, and it didn't work. This is a different player, right? And I'm not coming at KD. It's just like KD's a little bit too skinny, right? KD is offensively is a guru in his own right, but so is Giannis. But Giannis uses his strength to get his.
Dude. If you're gonna call yourself Tony Basketball, say Giannis, not G Honest, homie.
I can say it. Look, first off, I'm the only one on the show that said he was better than Kevin Durant, so I can say however the hell I want to say.
No, you cannot.
Yes, I can.
You call yourself Mr. Basketball, Mr. Whatever you are. You're saying the pronunciation of the players right. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo. God.
Regardless of the fact. The Boston Celtics are in trouble when it comes to the Milwaukee Bucks because their man is playing out of his league right now. He's playing out of his mind right now, and that's just facts, Eric. That was the biggest takeaway. Now I can see the Celtics winning like 1 or 2 games. It'll be Bucks in 6. I got Bucks in 6.
All right, Deontay, help this man pronounce this man's name right in Giannis Antetokounmpo. And what did you think of the series or with the game yesterday?
My man Giannis, he did what he was supposed to do. He came double. But what stood out to me was Marcus Smart 3 of 11, Al Horford 4 of 11, Jaylen Brown 4 for 13, and 12 and 10 was what they had. Milwaukee got guys this bigger than what Brooklyn had that can switch a lot, and Bobby Portis, Giannis, Brook Lopez. Once you beat the guys on the perimeter, they got legit bigs to meet you at the rim. So it wasn't as much that Giannis dominated because when Boston made runs, Giannis made big plays. He made big shots, but he was actually defended pretty solid by Al Horford throughout the whole game. It was the others. Bobby Portis knocked down so many shots. So many. Pat Connaughton, Grayson Allen.
Yep.
The same formula that blew the Bulls out 3 games straight with the others. It was the same thing with Boston. They played great defense on Jaylen Brown, although he's supposed to have a gimpy hamstring, but they played great defense on him. They didn't let Al Horford dominate the paint. And Jason Tatum was the only one that was working. He was the only one that was cooking. Everybody else was, Marcus Smart got a little beat up with the stinger and then with the groin or the knee or whatever he had going. But I don't think Boston, if they don't get it together, close. If Jaylen Brown don't average 20, don't score 20 points a night with Tatum, I don't think Boston gonna win more than one game. I think Boston needed that first game, and Milwaukee got it, and now they just hungry. they just look like the hungrier team. They got to a lot of balls. They got to a lot of the 50-50 plays. And I wouldn't call it rust because, I mean, Boston had, one extra day off? Then Milwaukee, 2 extra days. So I wouldn't necessarily call it rust. I just say that Milwaukee looked like the better team. And Giannis looked like the best overall player in the series, but Milwaukee overall, the depth, like the smallest dude they got is what's his name, Javon Carter.
Yeah.
They got everybody else is like between 6'5" and 6'11". So it's some long players out there, and they made it tough for Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, and Marcus Smart. And Boston can't win with just one guy. The same thing, the same problem the Bulls ran into with them. They can't win with just one guy.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I just try to get a conversation out of this, but you're right. Milwaukee did look like a better team yesterday, 100% by a mile and a half.
Yeah.
The scoreline probably said different wise, but the game wasn't even close from start to end. You can tell Milwaukee is on a whole nother level. And you're right. The size matters, right? Size matters in this instance for the game, and Milwaukee got the size, and boy, do they carry it very, very well. Let me just stop this conversation before it gets weird. But to me, what's going to be the most interesting game, but the interesting series to me, which I'm going to feel like it's going to be the most exciting series in this round, was last night between the Warriors and the Grizzlies. And man, the pool party showed out for sure. Once again, leading the Warriors in scoring with 31 points, 31, 8, and 9. And Ja Morant, 34, 9, and 10, a rebound short of a triple-double, and also a layup short for a game-winning layup that cost them the loss against the Warriors, 117-116. Guys, is this series going to be the best series out of all the second-round matchups? Jose, let's go with you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it already showed. I mean, this team, both these teams have plethora of talent, plethora of stars. That's not one player you didn't mention from the Grizzlies was Justin Jackson Jr. He was balling out himself too. He went 10 for 18 with 33 points. Eric, I mean, 6 for 9 at the 3-point line. The guy can ball, and on the Grizzlies side, and you know what John Morant's going to bring you. You know, this kid is special, really special. The limelight, the light's not too bright for him, especially in the playoffs. And this is the brightest it can be going against the Golden State Warriors. And looking at that team, it's scary how much better they're just getting. You already have Steph Curry. You already have Klay Thompson. Draymond Green is still there. He's still great defensively. And now you add Jordan Poole. It's crazy that organization could just breed talent like it's nothing, man. Like what formula do they have going on, and how can we pick that up? Because if they're all drafted by that team, it's not like they got any of those guys free agency. Those guys are all drafted by that team. Everybody I just mentioned, and they're amazingly talented and offensively and Draymond defensively. To answer your question, absolutely 100%. This is going to be the best series, probably in the entire playoffs, depending on who gets to the Western Conference Finals. If it's Golden State and Phoenix, if Devin Booker comes back, I think it has a potential, but I think this one's going to be a lot more thrilling.
Deontay, Chicago's favorite Uncle Day over here. My man, you're already at this pool party with your swim trunks and shirtless, getting your tan on before the playoffs even started. And man, oh man, have you got this one right? And we are just being late to this party that you already been drinking, chilling, and having fun in for the last couple of weeks, man. Your boy showed out yesterday, but the same question applies to you, man. Is this going to be the best series in this round?
I got the potential to be, as far as to the excitement, because you got two fast-paced teams, and Steph is must-see TV, and so is Ja. But my concern with the Grizzlies is you got an out-of-body experience from Jaren Jackson from three-point line. Desmond Bain and Dylan Brooks both played terrible. And you lost by 1 point. Are you going to get 33-34 from Jaren Jackson again this series?
True.
Draymond Green is not going to get ejected another game.
True.
Dude going to come back with the biggest chip on his shoulder to say, y'all kicked me out the game for a soft call, and my boys still won. You know, when I left and I was waving the crowd, I was saying, y'all invited to this pool party. This on the way. Because, I mean, they got too much. Golden State got entirely too much. Entirely.
Yeah.
And you could tell down the stretch when they was down 2 points with like the 30-something seconds left, and they got shot after shot after shot without a legit big on the floor. How Memphis was scrambling to shooters, and they left Steph wide open. They dodged the bullet, then he missed it, and then you give up a head fake and a step through shot to Clay to put him up, and Jordan Poole carried him to the finish line, and he said, "Okay, I'm gonna let one of you light-skinned brothers finish him off." and I mean, Memphis swung for the fences. They swung for the fences and they missed, and they came up short. And that's kind of scary for Grizzlies fans, because it's like Ja almost had a triple-double. Jaren Jackson gave us 33, 34 points, and we still lost.
Yeah.
So Draymond got kicked out. Steph and Clay spent the first 24 minutes of the game in foul trouble, and we still lost. Everything from the box score say Memphis should have won, and they still lost. So, I mean, it got the potential to be exciting, but like Mr. Basketball himself said, the next round between Golden State and Phoenix is probably going to be the best series in the playoffs.
You can't call him Mr. Basketball if he can't pronounce the player that he pronounces the best player of our era.
I hate to mess up Jaren Jackson's voice. I said Justin Jackson, but I was thinking something else. But again,
don't let that slide, bro. I wasn't even gonna say
it's okay. I'll call myself out for it. All right, I'll call myself out for it.
Jeez, oh man, I swear, man, this guy gives himself a nickname and can't even get it right. Jesus. Anyways, guys, going on today, the Miami Heat Philadelphia 76ers game went final a few hours ago, and it showed me something that I think I want to get from your guys' perspective. But even with Joel Embiid, you know, being hurt or anything like that, and everything that's going on with Joel Embiid and his health issue, but is the Miami Heat the better team in this series and will cause fuss for the 76ers? Or once Joel Embiid feels like he's Joel Embiid again, he'll turn it on and the 76ers are going to run away with the series? Let's go with Deontay.
This one is the same thing I said with Philly and Toronto. Tobias Harris is going to have to average 20. He's going to have to play in order for them to have a shot, because Miami go 10 players deep.
Yeah.
Them dudes, they play together. They not afraid of the moment. They welcome in all challenges. They playing like they got a point to prove. And Philly, they can't win without Embiid. That's, you know, not even a question. But they said Embiid, if he cleared the protocol, he should play in Game 3, which I'm pretty sure he's gonna clear concussion protocol so that they can at least try to make it interesting. But James Harden can't disappear. He can't.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And he disappeared. Miami gonna run it down their throat again, like they did tonight. They gonna run it down their throat. Like you got Tyler Hero and Victor Oladipo coming off the bench, and Tyler Hero playing crazy right now. So I think Philly is outmatched. I didn't have Philly getting out of the first round, but they did. But I definitely know they're not getting past this one. It's a no-brainer. Miami in a gentleman's sweep, because I'm gonna give them Game 4. I'm gonna give Philly Game 4, because Embiid should have his footing back up under him and adjusted to the wearing the mask and stuff by then. So I give him Game 4, but Miami in 5, and they waiting on waiting on Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one looks. Yeah, the gentleman's sweep. I don't know. That one feels like that one's going to be a little bit too. I think Philadelphia might have a little bit more star power in there. But you're right. James Harden has to show up. You said Tobias Harris has to show up. Well, I mean, he was the only one today that hit in the 20s point wise for the Philadelphia 76ers. James Harden with 16. Maxey with 19, and those were your leading scorers for the for the Philadelphia 76ers. And you're right. As you can see, if you go onto the box score, you see that the Miami Heat goes 6, 7, 8, 9 deep, and when you get 25 points from Tyler Hero coming off your bench to go with Bam's 24, Jimmy's 15, overall this team wise, the Miami Heat is better than the Philadelphia 76ers. But yes, the 76ers with Joel Embiid. They're going to need him. They're going to need him at 100%. And to make this interesting, at least this series a little bit interesting. Jose, before we go to the comments, how about you, man? What did you see? Is the Miami Heat the perfect match for the Philadelphia 76ers to eliminate them in the playoffs?
Right. I think Deontay hit it right on the head when he said this team goes 10 deep. 8 out of their 10 players that they played in that game played 20 minutes and more. If you look at the 76ers, only 5 players played over 20 minutes. That's telling you something. Not only is the Miami Heat, not only can they go deep and not only are they deep, but they're deep with quality players that they could trust to play high minutes like that. And what does that do for your stars like Jimmy Butler and Adebayo? They could just sit back, relax, let these other guys come in, and the offense won't miss a beat. Defensively, they won't miss a beat. Then what happens? Then you rotate them out, but your starters back in there. They have fresh legs, not much pressure going on because again, that the scoring can come from anywhere. This team is probably one of the most complete teams in the playoffs. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think even if you throw Embiid in there, Embiid, don't get me wrong, he's going to get his. But Miami wins this, man. Miami wins this without a doubt.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Duncan Robinson didn't play. Kyle Lowry didn't play.
Yeah.
Still missing Markieff Morris also, which is toughness. These are 3 key rotational players that the Heat missing.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, it's too much. It's too much. Like he said, you keep your stars fresh. Your Jimmy Butlers can stay fresh. Bios can stay fresh, and they letting Kyle Lowry rest up and heal up because they know that Philly don't stand a chance.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, you guys are absolutely right. I mean, this team is well coached. Eric Spoelstra, who's been there, done that. And now with these players that they got, some of these players went to the NBA Finals a couple years back in the bubble season, and probably, and quite frankly, might do it again this year. Coming out of the East too, as well as the East is so wide open. Granted, Giannis is out there in Milwaukee, but if there's a team that's going to be annoying out of everybody else in the Eastern Conference Finals, it is this Miami Heat team. And even though without Joel Embiid, you could tell that this team just plays team basketball on both ends of the floor. Last one before we get into the comments, and then we're going to end this show real quick. This series between the Mavs and the Suns is more of a series of like, all right, Mavs, y'all, thank you for coming to the playoffs. Y'all made it as far as y'all can, but the Suns are going to whoop ass here. Even with a 26 first half from Luka Doncic, the Suns are up 69-56. Guys, is this the gentleman's sweep, or is this going to end in a sweep, or is it going to be a gentleman's sweep for you guys between the Mavs and the Suns? Let's go with Mr. So-called Tony Basketball over there.
Look, Suns are without a doubt going to make it to the Western Conference Finals. I wouldn't put it past the Mavs to get one. At the same time, I wouldn't put it past the Suns to sweep them. So you could say gentlemen sweep, regardless of the fact the Suns are going to make the Western Conference Finals. Luka, and I've said this before. He needs help. He needs help, man. They thought they had it with Porzingis. They don't. He needs another star there in order for him to at least smell the Western Conference. They did enough to beat the Utah Jazz, but I think the Utah Jazz is on a decline and they have some issues going on over there. Otherwise, I thought they should have won that series. But Luka needs help. In order for him to even get to the Western Conference Finals or even think about being in the finals in general, he needs at least one more star there to get him over the hump. But right now, I think Phoenix is destined for the Western Conference Finals. I have them and Golden State going to the Western Conference Finals. So we'll see. But Phoenix is overall the better team for sure.
Chicago's favorite Uncle Day Day.
Yeah.
Is this series going to end in the sweep for you, or is it a gentleman's sweep?
No, I got this one in 5 also. It's you to that point in the playoffs where a team should be able to win one game out of the series at least. So I got this one in 5 also. And Dallas shouldn't have beat Utah, but the problem Utah got is they coach. Utah should have fired their coach 5 years ago when they played defense behind James Harden in the playoffs. He should have been fired a long time ago.
Thanks.
But Phoenix, Chris Paul on another level right now. He focused.
Yeah.
Like he leading them guys in the right direction. He got his assassin and book, and the leader in Chris Paul. They prime 5 games. That's just it.
5 games. That's what you're giving them, huh? So gentlemen sweep for you. I think it's gonna end in the sweep. It should end in the sweep, especially with the injuries that's been piling up with the Phoenix Suns. Chris Paul looking fatigued previous series and how beat it up he was with no Devin Booker and Booker's a hamstring injury. You kind of have to take a feel on the Suns that they need to take care of business because they know and they see that the other series may go longer. And if this team needs the rest will help the Phoenix Suns for sure, especially on an aging body like Chris Paul and to get that hammy better from Mr. Booker for sure. And obviously, there's nothing wrong with getting a little extra rest, right? Especially in the Chris Paul and the age you got. There was a question on the chat that I want to see from that's the one right there from the King. So, and I just want this to be the last one before we get to go. The opinions on the Cavs. I think it's a team that can be on the rise, and especially in the Eastern Conference that we say it's wide open, even though they got the best at the moment, the best player in the NBA right now, Giannis Antetokounmpo. But just like it, but for some reason it don't convince. I think the Cavs are just maybe a 2 players away to be kind of trying to kind of making a point in the Eastern Conference, or am I wrong, Mr. Basketball?
They need one star. I need one superstar. I think they have the great places in. I think they have great players in place. There, you have Mobley. You have who's the other guy? That's just slipping my name.
There's
Garland. You have a plethora of young talent there. You need a superstar. Maybe LeBron James comes back home. Imagine him on a team like that. Or just in general, right? The Cleveland Cavaliers are on the up and up. There's no doubt about it. I think they're realistically a year or 2 away from being able to contend for a championship, and that depends on who they're able to surround superstar wise in that team. But they're doing great things. Credit to the Cleveland Cavaliers because they're doing it through the draft. They're doing it the right way. They had a little rebuild once LeBron left, and you see the fruits of that labor coming into fruition. And they almost made the playoffs. They lost a playing game, but they lost to really good teams. And now here we are. They lost to the Brooklyn Nets. They lost to the Atlanta Hawks. But I think next year they make it in as an 8 seed, maybe even 7 for sure.
Uncle Day.
I think Cleveland is probably the second as far as to most talented young teams behind Memphis. Evan Mobley is a superstar in the making. He might be the superstar that they need.
Yeah.
He's the superstar in the making. Then you got to remember they was without Colin too. Colin went down with the knee injury early. Garland stepped up, played ball. Kevin Love looked like he drunk from the fountain of youth. Laurie Markkinen, when he was on the court, he looked like he had a lot of confidence in his game. Jared Allen, until he messed up his hand, he was in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, in my opinion. So they got a nice mixture with the young guys, and they can play. They play big too, like having 3 almost 7-footers on the floor at the same time with the versatility that Mobley gave them on the defensive end. They played big, so it'll be interesting to see if Garland dominate the ball next season, or if it be Colin Sexton that dominate the ball. If Garland can play off the ball, it'll be interesting to see that. But I think Cleveland is gonna be battling for the second best team in that Central with the Bulls. Hopefully the Bulls make the right decision with Zach. But Milwaukee got it. Milwaukee and Miami, Brooklyn still the top teams in the East. I do think that Cleveland will be better than the Atlanta Hawks. That I think they'll be better than the New York Knicks. Those teams that'll be nipping at that eighth seed next season. So I think they get in.
Yeah, real quickly before we end the show, Eric. Shout out to Ken. The guy, I love his avatar. He has Goku on there. So, I had to shout him out real quick because, I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan. But he was also asking how you feel about the Thunder rebuild. Real quickly, I don't know much about the Oklahoma City Thunder, at least their players. But what I can tell you, they need scoring. They were 29th in point score, 30th in 3-point score. They need the 3-point percentage. I mean, that team needs help scoring. They need guys who are going to go in and offensively be able to, to help that team, because it's pretty bad in Oklahoma City right now.
Ooh, they got that Aldi version Magic Johnson light skinned fella over there, Giddy, the young boy. That boy can play. Like he can
about Alexander, no?
That boy can play. So
yeah.
Wait on him, and he keep his confidence flying high. And Gilgeous Alexander,
Alexander,
healthy. They can put some pieces there, and they can be solid. But they got one in Giddy. Mark my words on what's this, May 2nd, 2022. I wasn't wrong about Jordan Poole. I don't think I'm gonna be wrong about this guy either. Giddy's gonna be a legit star.
Yeah, talk about Josh Giddey. He averaged 12.5 rebounds, 12.5 points, almost 8 rebounds.
He's
young.
So, yeah,
super young. Yeah,
you don't want to know my opinion about Oklahoma City Thunder. Honestly, their rebuild will start the moment if they go back to Seattle or maybe even out to Vegas. I'm just saying that I think that's the team this year. I barely know enough about Oklahoma City once Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden all left OKC, not together but separately at their own way. Big shout outs to Ken, to King Sal, everybody on Facebook that watched us, join us, guys. Make sure you guys follow the JCA Sports Podcast, John Quinavi, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. What up, Deontay?
But before we go, as long as the Bears be better than the Lions, I'll be fine.
I don't know what to be the case this year. I think the Bears will be the worst in that division.
I don't know. So, we gotta see, man, because the moment the summer comes, training camp starts, we'll see. But yeah, the Lions got probably the better of the Bears in the draft, especially in the position and the players that they got. Yeah. Packers would have had the worst draft pick out of the conference, and the Bears come in second, Vikings come in third. I think in that order.
Prediction, I think the Lions may be better than the Vikings this year. I think if anything, you're going to go Packers, Lions, Vikings, Bears. Just saying.
Wow, that's super bold. You want to go on the sandwich bet right there with Mr. Basketball right there?
I'm down.
Uncle Day.
Call me Tony Football.
You ain't, bro. What you gonna say? Justin Fields for him and stuff? Like, since you can't say Giannis, bro. Nah, man, you can't call yourself Tony Football or Tony Basketball until you get your so-called player fanboy.
Yeah, Giannis. Okay, it's Giannis.
Oh my!
I love this guy.
Jesus. Yeah, make sure you guys follow us on all our social media platforms: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Follow us on all our social media platforms. Anchor and Spotify, which is always our sponsor of our show. Follow for all the other episodes too. Uncle Day, plug your social media, man. Where we gonna look you at? Where can
y'all can find me on Facebook at Dayday, DAYDAE. Also follow the Better Than Leftovers podcast page. It's on there. Yeah, we drop new content every Sunday. I'm on Instagram also on Dayday, DAYDAE. You know, you send me a message, anything you want me to talk about on my podcast. If I can get to you, I got you, baby.
Hell yeah.
Yep, and make sure you hit the bell on the Facebook page for you guys to know when our episodes will be on live. We'll be on Wednesday at 9 o'clock, JCA Sports Podcast, Sports Strip Live 2 as well on Wednesday, and the EAFP talking about Champions League football on Wednesday at 6 p.m. For Jose, for Deontay, myself, Eric Avila, we'd like to thank everybody for watching, everybody for commenting here on the Twitch channel. Appreciate you guys. John, we miss you. Don't come back. As for us, we are out. We'll see you all on Wednesday. Jose, hit the outro, buddy.
What a finish! Wow, that is unfreaking believable. What a way for a ball game to end.
Oh, that's what happened. Oh, that's terrible. My God. The humanity.
They may be the drunkest couple in the history of sporting events.
I loved his face.
I would suspect that fan is done for the night. Here's the thing. When you steal something, don't wear it.